What's up, guys? It's another episode of No Letting Up. Of course, many of you probably asked the question, what is No Letting Up? No Letting Up is a platform where we go behind the curtains of the person's success. And I have somebody right now who is successful in like everything she do. Aylah Birks.
Hello,
How you
my
doing?
friend. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. When I say successful, she's successful. I'm not even gonna try to go down the list of things you do. I'm gonna just let you tell the people what you do.
What do you think is important for them to hear?
Let-
Because we can go in different directions,
let's start
honestly.
from let's start from when you was a child
Right.
because you know I've had conversations with you and your mama, and she's told me how she's pushed you to be successful. So let's start from when you was a child.
Oh my goodness, Cindy Curry is a legend. I'll say that because just looking at my life,
Mhm.
from being a child in a single parent household and just looking at all the things that my mom has done with working, raising myself and my brothers, but also taking care of my granddad when he started going down with dementia. Strong woman, but she's always just been a foundation and a pillar of support for me personally,
Mhm.
especially just from a young age, just looking at the different types of interests that I was interested in. So I loved learning. I love reading. I like talking. I was a quick learner. I was a fast talker. So my mom and I, we would sit down, we would have tea time,
Mhm.
and she would use that time to teach me words, to get me onto leapfrog. I loved Hooked on Phonics when I was a kid. The
Gotcha.
VCR tapes and things.
Mhm.
Oh my gosh. So I she saw something in me, and I think it's so good when people see things in you, especially when parents see something in their child
Okay.
and they decide to exaggerate it by
Mhm.
encouraging it. So my mom encouraged me to read, my mom encouraged me to write, she encouraged me to learn. And I remember her telling me this story of how our old pastor, Randy Pascal,
Okay.
he came over our house, and she told me that I was so excited to tell him that I knew the Lord's Prayer. And at this time, she didn't know that I knew the Lord's Prayer, but we would always pray together. And
Okay.
I somehow memorized it and said it. And that was
Mm.
one of the big catalysts that showed her that I had a really pretty good memory and that I wasn't just the typical child that would see something and forget it, see something and
Mhm.
potentially forget it, and remember some sort of different iteration.
Mhm.
So she would teach me and have me memorize the books of the Bible.
Mm.
I had a dictionary, and I found a mistake in that dictionary
Mhm.
when I was 3, 4 years old. So just learning the 66 books of the Bible, 23rd Psalms, the
Mm.
Lord's Prayer, and then just learning different things like The Creation by James Weldon Johnson, Still I Rise by Maya Angelou. I would go around to different churches
Mhm.
saying these from memory,
Just saying it randomly.
saying it randomly on program, Black History programs, you name it. Especially when I was at MA Evans. So what a lot of people don't know is I went to MA Evans from pre-K to second grade. I
For
wasn't
people, not
always.
to cut you off, but for people who don't know what that is,
Yeah.
what is it?
So MA Evans is the oldest, if I'm not mistaken, it's one of the oldest historically black private schools in
Gotcha.
Macon, Georgia,
Okay.
headed by Lillian Evans.
Wow.
When I tell you Lillian Evans is a powerhouse, she impart that entire school system.
Mm.
I credit a lot of my success to, because whereas my mom started it
Mhm.
and she encouraged me to speak, she encouraged me to read, she taught me reading, writing, she taught me who God was, who was so fundamental in my life.
Mhm.
M.A. Evans helped to expound upon it and extend it. They saw the same thing, if not more, um, by the help of those teachers. I was reading on the 10th grade level in second grade
Really?
because all I did was read. All I did was read. I talked,
Mhm.
probably talked too much sometimes.
Did you shock yourself being able to read at a 10th grade level at that age? You didn't shock yourself?
No, and
Okay.
I think I didn't shock myself because as a child you have this unseen amount of positivity in the world.
Mm.
You see the world for not what it is, but what it could be.
Mm.
You don't think that anything is impossible. Everything is possible. So I just saw it as a challenge and I just overcame it. So it didn't necessarily shock me because no one had told me that I couldn't do it. Everybody that was around me in that circle, Miss King, Miss Everett, Miss Justice, Miss Reddick, Miss Jones, all the teachers at MA Evans,
Mhm.
all of my family members, they told me that I could do it. No one was there to tell me that I could not do anything.
Do you think if they weren't around to say, Aylah, you can do this, you got this, do you think things would be a bit different?
I think things, of course, I do think that things would be a bit different because I think that our actions are heavily enforced by positive and negative reinforcement. This is that psychology basis that we'll talk about later. But having those constant positive images of what Black success looked like, Black school teachers, Black school owners, Black leaders, Black parents doing everything that they can to encourage their children so that our dreams become our parents' dreams, doing everything that they need to do, including sacrifice, even when it doesn't feel good, leading in spaces where you feel uncomfortable. That made a very big impact on me. Whereas the negative reinforcement probably would have given me this sense of having the gift, but not wanting to express it out of fear that it's suppressing talent or space for others. So I think a lot of negative reinforcement when it comes to helping with people's talents, it comes from superiority and inferiority complexes. And like this comes from Hegel, like this is in sociology, this is psychology. So we're getting Africana studies lesson here. And I'm not going to try and get too preachy, but in a sense, superiority complexes are when you have this overarching sense to be the top dog that you want to suppress everyone else. Inferiority complex is the opposite. You're personally allowing somebody to disenfranchise you, to discriminate against you. It's the Hegel complex of superiority versus inferiority. It's a lot of what we see inside. No one can discriminate against you unless you give them the power to. And when you have the power to overcome people through that positive enforcement, everything is there's no limit. The sky is just a limit. So for me, I had a lot of great positive reinforcement. That negative reinforcement would have definitely made a big difference. But for me, just being in the space of M.A. Evans and having people that saw something in me and they're putting me on programs, they're allowing me to speak, saying that I have a dream speech during Black History programs, saying Still I Rise, saying I have a dream. I said them, I memorized them. And I didn't know that those words would have such a profound impact on me.
I was going to ask, did they have such an impact?
They did, because like Maya Angelou's lines, you may write me down with your bitter, twisted lies. And then she goes on later to say, but still like air, I'll rise. So you can try and disenfranchise against me. You can try and discriminate against me. You can try and talk against me or beat me down. You might talk about me, but I'm still coming back. Like, I'm not going to give up. Like, yeah, sticks and stones might hurt. Sticks and stones, they might break your bones, but like the words, they're never going to hurt. I'm still coming back. I'm going to come back stronger. You're not going to discourage me, because the discouragement is more so encouragement. The creation, it's biblical for me. 7 days, God created earth, God created man, 7 days. But at the same time, knowing who James Weldon Johnson is, the writer of the Black National Anthem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, the art, the poetry, the classism, the literature, the richness of being able to write things in such a profound way that it's memorized 100 years later, 200 years later, and it's still beautiful and so poetic. That powered me. I loved writing.
How important is it that we as a culture know our history?
It's so important. When I tell you, because again, media, narratives can be spent in so many different ways that we don't know the truth. We know an iteration of the truth, or we know an opinion. And I feel like it's a difference between facts and opinions that needs to be discussed.
Absolutely.
How you feel about a topic should not try and deviate you from wanting to tell people the truth. And I think at a young age, I can remember my uncle asking me who Emmett Till was, and I couldn't tell him. And I think around 7, I came to know who Emmett Till was and what he meant. And I think it hurt me so bad because it wasn't talked about in schools. I think
I think it's still talked about.
Yeah, it's not a lot. I think our public education system has a great deal of holes that they have to address as far as telling the full story. So for me, with my educational experience, I remember in school talking about the civil rights movement, talking about the period of enslavement of African Americans, But we talk about the Mayflower.
Mm-hmm.
We know that boat. We talk about Christopher Columbus in 1492. But I find it interesting from Nicole Hannah Jones that we don't know about those 12 ships that went down the transatlantic with Africans, with our history, what happened to us. So I feel like it's important for us to know what happened because it tells us a compass of where we're going. We have to learn our history. It is so important to read the Toni Morrisons, the Langston Hugheses, the Frantz Fanons, to be encouraged by Maya Angelou, to be encouraged by the Carter G. Woodsons, because in all of this spitefulness and all of this hatefulness and this anger of this country that we live in, it powers
I was
us.
about to say it gives us a certain power, like you said, to know our history and where we come from, to know that we've always been great.
It does.
And I think a lot of times people not knowing our history as a culture, they don't feel that they can overcome certain battles
Right.
or be great because you don't know that your ancestors, while they did have to work to be great and they had to overcome a lot of different things, they came out on top.
Exactly. And I think that that's what a lot of us often forget, that we weren't always able to be in certain spaces. We weren't always welcome, and yet here we are. So it's like, while it seems like legislation is very discouraging, and trust me, it really is,
Mm-hmm.
especially with it directly affecting me or students like me or people that look like me or people in the African diaspora and Black and brown communities. Look at how far we've come so far.
Mm-hmm.
We have the potential to go even further. And whenever I have conversations about discrimination and the system of racism as a whole, I often like to remind people that, and I had to learn this too, racism was cultivated over a 500-year capacity since 1619 and probably even before then.
Right, right.
Racism was. So it's going to take us a long time
Mm-hmm.
to get over this system, to dismantle the barriers. But what we cannot do is stop. We have to keep going.
I feel like though people are getting to a point where it has just become so exhausting
It
to
is.
try to get past. And I can understand that point of view because I mean, look how long you talking about we've been dealing with this.
Right. And we can even go even further, because before it was race, it was religion.
Mm-hmm.
People have always found a way to systematically divide
Mm-hmm.
people, because in Wicked, and I love this movie, I'll plug it shamelessly every single time. I love Wicked. But it talks about so many good things. And I remember the wizard particularly saying everybody loves a good common enemy. It's the best way to unite people. And again, people are so busy finding these differences that we
Mm-hmm.
forget that we're all in the same boat. We
Right.
might be on different levels of this cruise
Correct.
ship, but we're on the same ship. And if this ship is sinking, it's going to affect all of us. It might not affect all of us immediately,
Mm-hmm.
but sooner or later we're going to find ourselves all underwater.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to take a while for us to get back up if we don't realize our similarities and we don't realize our strengths and weaknesses and we don't emphasize the truth in which history has to be told.
So what I basically heard you say, growing up, and being able to read on a 10th grade level at such a young age, and reading the things you read, poetry by Maya Angelou, and reading the other different things you read, and knowing the stories that you were, or able to learn the stories through your reading, it empowered you to be successful.
Yep.
So much so that you was a Mercer graduate.
I am, yes. So I recently graduated from Mercer May 2025. I got my bachelor's in neuroscience and I minored in chemistry and sociology. I did some concentrations in Black studies and Spanish.
Why on those?
So for me, it's always been a lifelong goal for me to go into medicine.
Okay.
Now that capacity and where I want to go in medicine has changed, because I remember wanting to be a veterinarian. And then
I
it
remember
was
that. You told me.
a pediatrician. And I remember reading the story of Ben Carson, Gifted Hands, and how he went from being deniable to undeniable in school. He wasn't doing well in school, but something changed him, and he ended up matriculating to Johns Hopkins and becoming a neurosurgeon, separating Siamese twins. And I was so infatuated with the story of not being defined by your struggles, so much so that you achieve all of the hopes and dreams and even more of your family members, and you break down barriers for other people to show
Yes.
that you can do it.
Right.
So,
That's me all day.
and I've noticed it, and it's inspiring, and it moves people, and it gives people the freedom to know that they can do things outside of their capacity. So yeah, I want to go into medicine. I'm thinking maybe internal medicine, subspecializing general surgery, neurosurgery. But again, I'm keeping my mind open because I love science in general. I think medicine is important. One of the major things that I focused on during my time at Mercer was the integration or advocating for the integration of behavioral health into primary care, because behavioral health deals with our mental health. Mental health has a total a total overt and covert effect on our physical health, how we feel. And I don't think that how we feel, how are we really doing, was asked until after the COVID-19 pandemic, because it just exposed so much stuff
Yep.
that we were hiding. It exposed
That
the
we ignored.
anxieties.
Yep.
It exposed our fears. It exposed our stress.
Whether we like it or not.
It exposed our feelings about either our significant others or our family member.
Because we had to spend more
We
time
had
with
to
each other.
spend more time with
Yeah.
each other.
Yep.
And I think that that period was special to me because it just showed us how much we have to do to protect our people, how much we need to do more research, and how much more we need to check on our people, how much we need to realize that we need to check ourselves. The body keeps the score. And those silent times where you're going through that stress, it's keeping that score. It's just tallying and tallying and tallying. And we have breaking points. So that was what I did. I was the president of Minorities in Psychology. And we focused on creating a safe space to discuss mental health and wellness for students at Mercer, because Mercer isn't just a walk in the park. And college in general just isn't a walk in the park. I can just speak on Mercer because I went there. But we create a safe space for everybody to come, regardless of where you come from. At some point, everybody's a minority. And then I worked with GCAP, Georgia Campaign for Adolescent Power and Potential, with Jane Fonda. That was more so working with teaching comprehensive sexual and physical education to teens in low-income neighborhoods. So I focus particularly with virtual education with the app OK, so doing some sort of counseling there or advice, and then doing some with Atlanta Native kids and some here in Twigs.
Okay.
But yeah, neuroscience was just so interesting to me because I could channel my passions for biology, chemistry, and psychology. And I could mix sociology in there. I can compound learning different languages on top of that. I can compound learning about my history, our history, because to treat the people, you have to know the people.
Oh man.
You have to know where you have to know where people come from so that you can help direct them to where they're going.
And I think a lot of times, not to cut you off, I think a lot of times we're trying to help people, but because we don't understand the background, we can't give them the proper help.
It's this great book that I just read from medical sociology. It's called The Spirit Catches You and You Fall Down. And it talks about how these Laotian people immigrated to America, particularly Merced, California. I want to say it was the 80s. And their daughter was a severe epileptic. Because the doctors did not use narrative medicine, because the doctors didn't understand their culture, and because the family members couldn't understand English and they didn't understand how westernized medicine worked, we had cultural conflicts that failed to get their child the help that she needed in the due time. So the reason why we have so many problems is because we don't understand people. And that was my strategy in going into Mercer. Learning how to understand different people from different planes and different points of views, so that I can be a better doctor, so that I can not only be the doctor that treats, but the doctor that listens, the doctor that talks, the doctor that's right beside you. Because the patient-doctor relationship, that's important. But the doctor also has to deal with Congress. The doctor has to deal with health insurance. The doctor is an advocate. The doctor is your cheerleader. And just being at Mercer and learning how to navigate those different spaces, that was the goal. And I feel like I came out a way better person than I started, especially with all of my experiences working at the American College of Physicians, working at Atrium Health Navicent downtown, working at the Chamber of Commerce, just being so fortunate to know so many great people at Mercer to help me get into spaces to develop me into a better leader and a better person and a better community member.
Did you face any things at Mercer that made you want to give people a safe space?
I did. So for me at Mercer, I love Mercer. Mercer's a great institution. And I'm not just saying that because I went to the college, but I chose Mercer because of its opportunity. I chose Mercer because of the academic promises. They also give great scholarships too. But also that came as a testament to how great of an academic student I am and what type of investment they were making in me. So I wanted to also make that same investment. But there were difficulties. I'm a first generation college student, number one. So
First generation.
first
I want to make sure we
generation,
put emphasis on that.
first generation. So that basically means, because a lot of people don't know what that term means.
Right.
So it basically means that your parents and your siblings did not go to a 4-year college and graduate.
Correct.
So there's some schooling involved between my mom and my dad. But as far as the registration, financial aid, it was a lot of me learning how to do these things. Might it have not been the most efficient way? Yes. But I learned how to do it. So first generation college student, because I have to do the homework by myself. I can't ask for advice because they've never been in that particular space. My parents can give me life advice, they can, but as far as trying to help me understand how can I study better, there's no help. So
you got to figure that out on your own.
I felt alone. I felt at times like I had imposter syndrome because I felt like I didn't belong in these spaces because I didn't come with the qualifications of the 2-parent household. I didn't come with the qualifications of my parents going to college or my parents being super ultra rich, in which there are class differences at Mercer. It's a private school. You see people from all walks of life just like you would at any other college.
Correct.
So it made me feel isolated because I didn't think that at one point in time, I didn't think that I belonged in those spaces.
Why?
Why?
Because you're from Twigs?
So not because I'm from Twigs, but I think for me at Twigs, my class was small, graduated with about 40 something kids.
Well, that's probably all of us, because for y'all that don't know, well, we are both grateful where we graduated from, very small rural area, so not a whole lot of people graduating in our class.
Everybody knows everybody.
Correct.
In Twigs County. So you're probably related to just about half the town or a
Probably
great
the teachers
deal.
too.
Yeah, probably so. And everybody knows everybody. So I came from a small school. Twigs County is small, 40 kids. It was easy for me to be at the top. And I don't say that to discredit my classmates.
At all.
I say that it was easy for me because a lot of the things that they were emphasizing us to do, studying, being involved in school, being involved in extracurricular activities, memorizing, or public speaking or leadership skills, I had already been taught that at a young age because the foundation was set with my mom. It was built upon at M.A. Evans. When I came to Twigs in the 3rd grade, the skills that they were pressuring us, or not pressuring us, but emphasizing for us to develop as we grew into middle school and into high school, I already had that prior to elementary school. So it was easy for me to find more efficient ways to be involved, but still keep my grades up and be or graduate as the valedictorian. You go from being one to being not the only smartest person. You're not the only valedictorian at Mercer. You are no longer the smartest person in the room. You might not even be the most average person in the room. You might be below average. So
Did that push you to go harder?
it pushed me to go harder. Oh yeah, I had a breaking point. My first semester at Mercer was hard. I failed my first exam. I got a 45.
I was about to say, to know you, I know that was heartbreaking for you.
It was heartbreaking because my high school, my successes, they built this ego into me. And I wasn't humble. College will humble you, just like a lot of different things in life will. And getting that 45, I was just like, Aylah Birks doesn't make 45s. Aylah Birks doesn't fall behind. Aylah Birks is smart. I'm the smartest person. And I think the biggest gift that Mercer gave to me was shifting my focus from individual to collective. Like a lot of times, this westernized school system focuses on grades, number one, hierarchy, and rank. So we think that it's normal. We're supposed to be the top. We don't think about the team aspect.
We don't.
But at work, It's the opposite.
And could that be why some of us end up failing?
Potentially, because we think that we have to do it by ourselves. There's 8 billion people on the planet. You can do it by yourself, but why would you when you have so many resources? It's not just about what you know. It's also about who you know to help you get into those doors and get into those spaces. So yeah, being a first generation college student was one. And also just, I think the class effects, socioeconomic status, where I came from, being a minority, and also being an African American student at a PWI, you're gonna meet different types of people, even in your race, even in your ethnicity. And I think struggling with that, I remember just having these issues with some of my classmates double checking me after calculations or double checking me after we're doing teamwork problems and they necessarily didn't double check their other classmates. The microaggressions, it's the little things that make you realize, these things still exist and they are now readily affecting me. And now it's my job to figure out, how do I deal with these microaggressions? How do I deal with these things as an African American person at a PWI? Like, how do I rectify these problems? How do I?
How did you? Not to cut you off. How did you?
So for me, I had the bad fall semester. It sent me into a spiral. And yes, I dealt with stress. I dealt with some sort of test anxiety, thinking that I can't perform at the same level that I used to. So having that and kind of being a little depressed because I wasn't making the grades that I was typically used to making. I didn't know how to study. I barely studied in high school. I didn't have to because it just came to me like that. It just did.
Photographic memory.
It came to me in high school. It did not come to me in college.
Okay.
Because for some odd reason, I had to learn how to break the system that I had already previously cultivated in high school. I had to break it and hijack it and figure out new ways. So I had to start learning how to study. I had to start learning how to do active recall and memory. And also I had to start thinking about different paths. Is this really what I want to do? Am I majoring in neuroscience because it's something that I'm interested in? Or is it because I have been on this pseudo quasi happy idea of what I think success looks like, that I'm blocking myself from what I really should be doing? And I found out that I wanted to really do neuroscience. So I decided to put 2 steps forward. What brought me out of my funk was working in Mercer University's Housing and Residence Life Office. It got me out of my dorm. It got me mingling with students, and it helped reignite that passion of wanting to help people and create community. I could help students with move-in. I could talk to parents. I could ease their worries over the phone about their freshmen moving in. I could work with the RAs. I could help students with their maintenance requests. I could help check students in. I was put in a place to where I could help people. And by helping people, it was helping me because I was meeting different people. I started going out. I started going to different organizations on campus, and QuadWorks, the Campus Activities Planning Board, it brought me out even further because it got me into planning events for the entire campus, creating a space, not just in residence, but all over the campus. And I worked my way up to being president of Campus Life and Student Engagement.
So basically, you couldn't think about self.
I had to stop thinking around me. I had to stop thinking Aylah-centric, and I had to start thinking community-centric because it takes a village. Yeah, it takes a village to raise a child. It takes a village to get through college. It really does. And I had to find my village. I had to find people that I could lean on. Even the Mercer First program, Dr. Shanteria Johnson, she was my mentor. So I was with her from the first day of college to the last day, and she was there for me with my graduation. And she's still there at Mercer doing the good work of connecting students, helping them, especially first generation students and Pell Grant eligible students that come from the rural areas that didn't have the access, and helping them through college, through mentorship and advising, which I did up under her. So yeah, it's about finding your space, finding your people, and finding your place so that you can best succeed. You might not fit everywhere, but if you can fit somewhere.
I don't think we're meant to fit everywhere.
We're not. We are not. We're like puzzle pieces. We're not meant to fit with every single piece, but we could fit with another piece that could fit with that piece that we necessarily didn't fit
Right,
with.
right, right,
It's
right.
about creating community. It's about collaboration instead of individualism. It's about collectivism.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's something that we have to emphasize
Mm-hmm.
in high school. It's not just you dependent. It's the people around you also dependent.
You talked about earlier that you dealt with some things in at Mercer in class
Mm-hmm.
where your work will be looked after, or I guess is it fair to say that your answer was challenged?
Yeah, I would say that in different times and different spaces by my students,
Okay.
um, or not by my
So,
students, but
but
by my classmates,
classmates, yeah,
these
yeah,
students,
right, right.
yeah, work would be challenged. The microaggressions, per se, that gaze, that extra gaze over being African American. I talk about it in my book, and yes, I wrote a book.
Uh-oh. Go
That was
ahead, go ahead and plug it real
that was
quick.
back in high school. So it's
Okay,
called Perspectives Through the Looking
okay,
Glass.
okay.
It's a combination of poetry and personal stories, and I write about being African American. Parts 1 and 2, they're kind of the end chapters of the book,
Okay.
but I write about how I'm the stag in the woods, the ones conservative like to hunt. And that's kind of what I felt like a couple of times at Mercer, because you have to be twice as good to get half the recognition. You got to be 4 times as good, 10 times as good. So it's not that I'm competing against, it's not that I'm just competing against my old self to be a better person,
Mm.
but I'm also competing against this gaze and this veil. I'm competing against a system that's covertly discriminating. I'm competing against a system where some people might say, I don't see color, in which that's colorblind racism. That's covert because you're not emphasizing the things that have happened to other
Mm-hmm.
people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm competing against people that don't think that I should be in this space. So if they don't think that I should be in this space, they'll double check me and try and use reverse psychology to make me think that it's me that thinks that I don't belong in this space, when in actuality, it's the other way around.
Did that reverse psychology ever work though on
No, I'm here today.
you? Good answer. Good
Yeah,
answer. Good
that
answer.
reverse psychology didn't work, because if it did work, I wouldn't be sitting right here. I wouldn't be living to tell you the
Mm-hmm.
story. Um, and I think that it's a good way to learn how to use reverse psychology back. You're gonna check my answer. I'm gonna check yours.
Mm-hmm.
Why? I just want to know that it's right.
Right,
I
right.
just want to make sure, because it's not just about you. It's not about you getting the grade. It's not about me getting the grade. It's about the group getting the good
Mm-hmm.
grade. So learning how to take the same things that they do to you,
Mm-hmm.
do it to them, not to harm them, but to let them know that, hey, this is how I feel.
Right, right, right,
This
right.
is how you're making me feel. This is bothering me.
Did you
I'm
ever express that to them?
and I had to learn, and whereas I might not have expressed it outright all the
Okay,
time.
okay.
So, hey, I feel like you're discriminating, or
Mm-hmm.
hey, this is wrong. Granted, I learned how to write it. I learned how to write things
Okay.
in a medium. I learned how to take my frustrations out on the world, discrimination in writing. And that was how I
Mm.
found sociology. That was how I found the Africana Studies department. Dr. Chester Fontenot in the Africana Studies department was my favorite professor,
Mm-hmm.
because he taught me, alongside Dr. Mary Morgan and so many other influential teachers
Mm-hmm.
at Mercer that are either retired or still there, they taught me how to necessarily write things in a medium that allow you to vent your frustrations,
Mm.
but particularly in a way that everybody wants to read.
Mm.
I did research on redlining in school.
Okay.
I did research on academics and how the grading systems, whether traditional or pass fail, have an effect on first generation or traditional college students. And in writing about redlining, in writing about the history of America and these systemic inequities that affect people of color, I've learned that history, but I had to learn how to write it in a particular way.
Mm-hmm.
So writing is a big medium for me. Like, it allowed me to express how I was feeling.
Mm.
I might not name names, and sometimes feelings don't have a name.
Correct.
Words don't have a name, and sometimes I just use that medium to express my feelings. But as far as the overt things,
Mm-hmm.
where as far as I know that somebody is making people feel uncomfortable, oh
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you have to say something, because you can't let you can't let people win all the time.
Right, right,
You
right.
can't let the system win all the
Mm-hmm.
time. And the system, the racism, You can't let the discrimination win all the time. You have to say something, because if we don't, we're giving people that power to exert that superiority complex over us. We're giving people the power to deem us inferior. And we can't do that. Or at least I'm not going to do it.
Let it be known. Stand on business.
Yeah.
Was there ever a time where somebody was just blankly racist with you on the campus?
So I remember um, this group of students on my first day, and they said that I was only at Mercer because I was black and I was poor. Yeah. And
What are you
that
thinking when they say that?
I think I was blindsided because whereas, yeah, I've had different types of things said. I've been bullied before, so I know how this typically works. But this was different for me because I had never experienced a comment of that magnitude. And never did these things come from my professors, but it was some of the students that had these internalized feelings of racism or entitlement per se, these feelings of this covert machine that continues to discriminate against people. So yeah, I think that was probably one of the only times, but it shocked me so much and it made me so angry, and I didn't know how to express it until I got in contact with sociology, until I started learning about my history, which was like medicine for me, because in the Africana Studies department and in the sociology department and alongside other departments, I felt seen. I felt like I could be me. I wasn't limited by what the school system allowed me to learn. I could learn whatever I wanted to. And that's why I think college is so great for me. And for anybody that chooses to go, you have the power and the freedom to do what you want to do. It's what you make out of it. And I had the freedom to read Toni Morrison. I had the freedom to read W.E.B. Du Bois. I had the freedom to read about Malcolm X. And not the Malcolm X that they pushed saying that he was militant. Not the Dr. Martin Luther King where they say that he was loved by everybody. Because at the time he wasn't.
Right.
At the time he wasn't. I had the freedom to read unapologetically Black classics, Black literature without a white gaze or without anybody interpreting it for me. It was for me to interpret.
How important was that for you to be able to just you be in that space by yourself to interpret it the way that you needed or wanted to interpret it?
It was so important because a lot of times, again, we talk about it, how narratives get spinned by the media, or how we learn something by word of mouth from someone else that heard it from someone else that heard it from someone else. We learn from secondary and tertiary sources. And primary source learning was so important because this is what's really happening. And I see so many parallels between Du Bois's writing from the 19th and 20th century to now in the 21st century, 100 years later. It is still relevant. I learned about the veil. I learned about double consciousness. I'm learning about Black feminist thought. I'm learning about the different caricatures and stereotypes of not only our people, but other people, and how it inherently hurts us all, and it infects and affects our thoughts. And for me, being able to read that, it was empowerment. Reading Amiri Baraka, reading Sonia Sanchez, reading all of these different artists that I never knew, that was never emphasized to me.
How did you get your hands on this stuff?
So a lot of the times it will be integrated into the course curriculum. A lot of the literature that you read as a college student, it's going to be so much different from high school. Whereas high school, you have your typical textbooks, and you might have like books like, for example, for me, I remember we read Hunger Games in middle school. We read The Outsiders. Like, we had particular cultivated books. It's like that in college, but a little bit on steroids. So you read books that have outlandish titles like Mama Might Be Better Off Dead. And this was a good book. It's another one of my medical sociology books. Dr. Laura Simon is amazing. It talks about the problems of U.S. healthcare. It talks about the intersections of poverty and systemic discriminations within hospital care and equitable healthcare for people. It's a really great book. But you read these narratives by people you read these stories and you can easily insert yourself into these situations. So these books would be integrated. We didn't have textbooks. We would be assigned different texts. We would be assigned Sula, the bluest eye. We would be assigned I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings. And we read them. We have space to discuss them and then interpret them. And then again, obviously we're tested or we have to write essays on them. But we have the space to interpret it as we see fit.
And not somebody again trying to
And
paint a
not
narrative.
somebody teaching you
Right.
not somebody necessarily just teaching you standards, common core concepts, the main thing. You can interpret it, whereas you don't necessarily have the space for interpretation in high school. It's just, I teach you this, I teach you this, you get quizzes, you get learning assignments, and then you get exams and you have the Georgia milestones. No, it's, you have essays. What is your interpretation of this? Relate this to a concept that we talked about, or how does Black feminist thought connect to Marxism or Hegelianism, or how does it connect to the writings of W.E.B. Du Bois and contemporary Black literature? So you have access to anything that you want to read.
Especially today with the technology. Obviously, we know that this because you have just put a lot on me with telling me how much you have learned. And
I'm a
honestly,
yapper. I'm a
you're
yapper.
I'll be honest, you're teaching me a lot of stuff. Um, but what you're really teaching me, no matter the cost, I was able to still accomplish what I accomplished. And we already know you're
Yeah.
not finished because you clearly told me that before the camera came on. So, what do you think looking back, besides I know you said your mom made a difference in your life, there was other people that made a difference in your life that really pushed you and empowered you. But what is about self that empowered you?
What is about self? I think this story of resilience, and it's shown throughout my family, it's shown throughout my dad and him being a business owner and making his own way. It's shown throughout my mom, my brothers, my ancestors, looking at even my granddad, Willie James Curry, just looking at the man that he was. And he didn't make it to high school graduation, he didn't make it to college, but I somehow, and this is just my own personal little conspiracy theory, I see that somehow he could see into the future of his grandkids being able to be in spaces where he necessarily didn't have that access to or always have that access to. He might not have had the education, but he did have the common sense, leaving behind inheritances. And I remember him talking about the importance of storytelling. I remember him talking about the importance of community. He had a garden. He would literally give out the turnips and the collards.
Sounds like my granddad.
He would be the family man. He would be the man that held it all together, but also strong, not maybe not college educated, but societally educated. Very keen on what's going on in society and very, I want to say, encouraging education, encouraging growth, like a real man's man, encouraging leadership. So I think the impact on me is looking at the resilience and looking at, oh, if he made it, I know I can make it. I'm not about to just stop here. I'm not just about to sit here and just let my sense of self die just because somebody might put a rock or a pebble in my shoe. Step to the side, take it out, keep on walking. Because you have to keep going.
No matter what.
If you stop, you fall. And I think that just learning how to move through the discouragement was a big thing for me, learning how to sacrifice, because the neuroscience degree, it didn't come easy. The college degree, the Gates scholarship, the acceptances to college, it never came easy. It came at sacrifice because I know that there's a greater purpose for me. It's a greater purpose. It might be outside of my house. It might be outside of my family. There's something for me to do. I have to put my shoes on and get ready to go because there's somewhere that I need to be. And I think looking at the stories of sacrifice from my mom, looking at the stories of sacrifice from my granddad, y'all sacrificed for me. And if it wasn't for your sacrifice, I wouldn't be here. So it's my job to sacrifice so that other people can be somewhere else.
Looking at those sacrifices, because I obviously know your mom, and you talked about just when I did your photo shoot.
Mm-hmm.
You talked about how your mom always made that difference in your life, and you would see her keep going even when
Mm-hmm.
you knew pretty much the odds were stacked against her, but she never stopped. What was it like for you to see that as a little girl, as a teenager?
Like it's the story of Black America, loving a country when it might not love you back,
Mm,
learning how to be in places that you're not welcome in, but you know that you need to be in so that you can be the catalyst for change. So seeing the sacrifice, it instilled in me service,
hmm.
community, being good to people in general because you never know who you're entertaining.
You don't. You don't know who's
But
watching.
yeah, you never know who's watching. And for me, I was watching. And just seeing her service to my granddad
Hmm.
inspired me to want to be in service to other people. It's why I think of medicine as service instead of success.
Mm,
It's why I think of sociology as service, why I think of it as information. It's why I was so active, why I'm always doing something, because I have the capacity to. There are people that don't walk around with the freedom and the opportunities to make a difference. And here I am. I have all of these connections. I have to do something with my life. So she made me want to work.
mm.
I'm not about to let my mom outbeat me and outwork me. No, and I want to be better. I want to be a better example. I want to be a better leader. And just listening to some of the things that she would tell me, because sometimes I'm hard headed. And you know, young people, we
Oh
get
yeah,
hard headed.
yeah.
And sometimes it's
That's me
hard.
too.
Sometimes it's hard to listen to wisdom, but sometimes you go through life and you make those young people
It was like,
mistakes
yep.
and you internalize that wisdom. But I think, again, the service, being selfless,
Mm,
learning how to sacrifice yourself, which is why I'm sacrificing. I'm taking a long route. I'm okay with sacrificing my 20s if it means a lifelong dedication to service.
mm.
And it's expounded upon in Africana studies. When I look at Dr. King, everyone has a capacity to serve.
Mhm.
And then I add the by any means necessary
Sorry.
component
Yeah, yeah.
because I don't just want to bring me up. I want to bring other people up. It's nothing like finding a space for you and then helping others by putting them in places where they can be successful.
That's exactly how I feel. Because a lot of times, obviously, no secret, I'm a journalist, but people may watch me on TV and see me as a journalist, but it's so much bigger for me
It is.
because I understand that after me comes another person, and
Mm-hmm.
we all know how TV is changing. We're all streaming stuff now. So whereas we watch TV now, it may be or it will be on streaming services. So I feel like now it is up to me to sacrifice some things so that next generation that's coming behind me that maybe want to be the sports anchor, the news anchor,
Mm-hmm.
sacrificing and building, putting the weight on my shoulders so they don't have to go through what
Right.
I go through. And, people may look at us as journalists, particularly black journalists, and think that we don't go through a lot of different things, racism and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. To be honest with you, I'm not gonna say we face it worse through any circumstances, but we face it just like
Mm-hmm.
other people. There are times when we go in rooms and we gotta cover stories that we know we not liked in the room. You can see the reaction, you can feel the energy, you
The
get
overt and the covert
right.
mechanisms, you feel them.
You
Mm-hmm.
feel all of that, and so well, I ain't appreciated in this room, but I still have a duty to the community to
Right.
inform my community. And so you have to look past all of
You
that.
do.
And if you don't watch it, it can affect you psychologically.
Mm-hmm.
But for me, it don't affect me. I'm not gonna say it never did because at one point I was like, man, this is not a great feeling. But then I learned, well, Carlos, somebody's got to sacrifice and somebody's got to go
Mm-hmm.
through this, so you can be able to testify and tell the other people coming behind
Right.
you what to expect.
You've got to get comfortable with
Right.
being uncomfortable.
Comfortable. Right. And that's we all probably say that easily, but it's not done
It's
easily.
a difference to live it than,
Correct.
yeah.
So when you just talked about how, you don't mind sacrificing your 20s to become what you need to become because our grandparents didn't have what we have now. As a matter
Mm-hmm.
of fact, they let things or carry things on their shoulders so
We
we
did.
wouldn't have to carry. And so it's up to us. I feel like now for us to take things and wear as I know we don't have it worse than they did,
Right.
obviously, but I feel like, man, if they made it through all the stuff that they made it through, you talk about slavery, as a matter of
The
fact,
civil rights
the civil
movement,
rights
the
moves,
race wars.
right? If they made it through all that, who am I to complain about all of this little stuff I deal with in the room? And matter of fact, we're actually able to be in the rooms now.
And we have the power to change the narrative too.
Right.
I feel like a lot of people discount how much power
Hmm.
their voice actually has. It's power in the tongue, it really is.
Hmm.
It's
Hmm.
power in these fingers too.
Right, right,
So it's
right.
like
Need to watch that too. The power of the fingers on social
power in
media.
the fingers
That can end your
because
career.
we can change our narratives. We can
Hmm.
change the system because
Hmm.
the system is dependent upon people. Like
Correct.
I remember often saying it, and a lot of my friends would laugh at me when I said it, but I would
Hmm.
be like, Mercer's in service to me. I am the one. It's the students that make the organization.
Correct. Without students.
The organization can influence the students,
Correct.
but the students make the
Hmm.
organization. The people
The
make the
body.
product.
Hmm. The
The
body of
body
people.
makes the person.
Hmm. Hmm.
The people characterize the religion. And I learned this from all of these different approaches. And again, I'm digging into my sociology bag with Karl Marx and just thinking about workforce and alienation and how important it is. But the people make the institution.
Right.
The institution necessarily doesn't make the people. And depending on which way you look at things, because I like Marx, because I like Weber, because I like all these different theorists, I see it that way. People might see it where the institution makes the people, and they could make a great argument. And I see that point too.
Yeah.
But we make these institutions. We actually have the power.
Hmm.
We characterize a lot of these systems in America, and we cannot disenfranchise ourselves by giving these systems the power to do us the way that we want to do them.
But you know what? If you don't understand the power you have, how do you use it?
Exactly. And it's a good thing. It's a difference between understanding
Hmm.
and knowing.
Hmm.
And I think that that was something that I also had to confront. I know it, but do I understand it? And that was one of the biggest things that I had to learn in college, knowing information versus understanding how this information works. A lot of the stuff that a lot of stuff that you'll do in college,
Hmm.
like, yeah, it might not directly apply to what you do at your job. It's about how you apply
Oh,
it.
you're right.
Test-based stuff, how you apply it, situational based.
Hmm.
I might not be writing an essay about Black feminist thought. I might not be writing an essay about Marxism and how I think it's great because it's a shameless plug. I might not be writing essays about chemistry or biology or pathogens or things like that. But I do know how to apply it. I can talk to my family about high blood pressure and how it's not only just about what goes on in our body, but how it's a symptom of generational trauma that's passed down. I can talk to my family about the different stereotypes
Hmm.
and caricatures of Black women that have been cultivated by racist or whether covert or overt narratives. I can talk about that. It's about how you apply it.
Hmm.
It's about you using the knowledge to understand the world.
How important is reading? Because
It's
obviously,
so important.
I was about to say I know you read a lot, and I read too.
Reading
I'm
is
not gonna I'm not
important.
gonna sit here and lie on this podcast and say I read more than you. I'm not gonna tell that. I'm not gonna lie like that. But do I read? Absolutely. And I will say this, as we all know, the saying "reading is fundamental."
It is. It is.
And I'll actually use this as an example. Sometimes people come in under my news page, and some every now and then, every blue moon, I go in the comments, and it's so easy for me to tell who don't read, and I'm just like, they'll say something like off the wall, and I'm like, you just read the headline, or you didn't even read the headline.
You skimmed it.
You just skimmed it, and you just come in because if you looked at the story or even the headline, you would probably have a slight understanding of what the story. And I say slight because sometimes, as we all know, the media put a headline out, and it's not even the story is not even centered around the headline that you read. It can be something totally different.
The headline is the hook statement that catches the eye.
There you go. Thank you. You don't even work in journalism, so tell them again.
But I write those essays, so I write those
Yeah,
essays.
you did. So, and I think sometimes it does its job to a T because it hooks them, and they just begin to respond. And I'm like, Ain't no way you could
and they
read the
generate
story.
a completely different narrative.
Mm-hmm.
And when they generate it, it goes from one person to another person to. But reading is fundamental.
Right, yeah, right.
I did this. I wrote another paper. Um, and again, I'm plugging medical sociology. I'm probably gonna plug medical sociology in
As
my
much as
college
you
journey as
need.
much as I need to go into sociology. But reading is fundamental. So at one
Mm-hmm.
point in time, I was doing some research this summer semester, and I looked at hospital consent forms. They are not written under a sixth grade reading level. Okay, we're going to do some more research. We're going to divide, or we're going to delve into this division. So the literacy rate in Macon, at least 39% at one point in time could read above a sixth grade reading level. 39%. That's not even 50%. So that's 61 people that either are at that sixth grade reading level, didn't get those necessary skills, so they're probably somewhere below that reading level. And I read this from the Macon magazine, and it shocked me. I was like, that's interesting. If hospitals are writing documents above the sixth grade reading level, and 61% of citizens in Macon, Georgia can't read above that reading level, they don't know what they're signing inherently. So people don't know their rights.
They don't.
People are ill-informed, and reading is so fundamental because
And officials know that, and they use it to their
officials
advantage.
know that. They use it to their advantage, and it kind of has links into gerrymandering of rezone districts, particularly. It has basis in contract signings. It has basis in bad business deals. Reading is so fundamental, and that literacy rate is important because if we don't understand what we're signing, we don't understand our rights, and it gives people the space to disenfranchise and discriminate against us legally because we allow it, but also illegally because it's against the law.
Right.
But again, how can we say that it's illegal if we don't know the law because we can't read the law?
And it's up to you to
It's up to you to educate
yourself, correct. And so you can't get mad. Should they be doing it like you said? Absolutely not. But if you can't read, they ain't worried about that.
And this is why it's so important to learn to work with children because it starts in the home. Like I'm a product of starting in the home, but just like you are, and just like so many other people are, but it's so important. And that's why those core concepts of reading are influenced or emphasized in the first and second grade and the third grade, because you have to be reading above those benchmarks if you're going to be able to understand and live in the world. You just have to. And it shocks me because a lot of patients don't know their rights. A lot of patients are getting disenfranchised, like in The Spirit Catches You and You Fall Down, and Mama Might Be Better Off Dead, in so many other narratives that we can plug into. It's sad. And it goes back to the important work that I did in college. And I served as a tutor for first graders in local elementary schools. I helped them learn how to read. And we talk about sight words, but how can they be sight words if we don't have the sight to see them? Come on.
You didn't just do it, you did it.
But yeah, like reading is so important because if I didn't read half of the things that I'm talking about today, I wouldn't even be able to have this conversation. Reading is so important.
Me either.
And the understanding of it is so important. So I emphasize it. Read as much as you can because you learning from secondary and primary sources or learning from the comments off of Facebook or the narratives, you're not learning. You're just pushing rumors. You're just pushing false information.
Let me ask you this, Aylah. Why do you believe our culture don't like to read?
I don't think that it's that we don't like to read.
Okay.
I think that there are different things that are emphasized within households. I think that there are different cultures that are emphasized. So for me, mine was education based. So I necessarily wasn't a sports person.
Okay.
So I was funneled into education. I was funneled into reading and writing. Some people are funneled into athletics.
That is so true.
Some people are funneled into skill-based things like engineering and mechanics and robotics. So I think that it has a lot to do with our generations. I think it has a lot to do with our traumas. If reading isn't emphasized in the home from the grandparents to the parents or the further generations.
My grandmama was big on it. Like, as soon as you take your book bag off, you better read something.
If it's not emphasized, then you can't expect If it's not emphasized and reinforced, then you can expect people to follow. So I don't think that it's that we don't like to read. I think the emphasis is shifted. We have a shifted emphasis on media. We have a shifted emphasis on a lot of us wanting to be the rappers, wanting to be the basketball players, wanting to be the athletes. And that's well
Well, I
and
was about to
good.
say nothing wrong with that.
It's nothing wrong with following your dreams
Right.
because sometimes you have to deviate from what people's expectations and hopes and dreams are for you to follow
Facts.
your path. You do because it's the one that you're set on and you're ordained to do. But a lot of times I think that there also needs to be an emphasis on this sphere that we're in. The smaller the circle, the easier it is to keep its form. And I follow that creed with my friends, with my life and keeping my circle small, but also in looking at professional careers. If you think about it, you look at how many high schools we have in America, look at how many colleges we have in America, and look at how many national institutions we have in America. Okay, every single time that you go up a level, it gets smaller. So it's a lot of people playing high school ball. Half of those people, maybe 70% of those people, they will not make it to college ball.
They won't.
And the college players, either by choice or by force, they might not make it to the pro league. Someone might get injured.
Correct.
Or they might not see what you see in you. They might not see what your coach sees in you. So I think that it's interesting to look at numbers. We don't look at numbers like that.
We don't.
Look at how many high school players we have. Look at how many NFL players we have. You've got to be willing to do the work. You've got to be willing to sacrifice.
And you can say that again because and this is nothing against our generation, but I think now we're falling so in love with the image of what success could look like.
Instant gratification.
Yeah, rather than. And I'm not saying we got to work as hard as our grandparents and mama did because obviously it's a whole nother world
There
now.
are efficient ways to work
Right.
as hard as they do, but not as hard as they did.
Right. Like, and the thing about it, we got everything at our fingertips to make money. Like, you literally got people streaming on
games.
TikTok games.
Aylah's about to start streaming Fortnite games.
And they making money, a legit
Yes,
living
for
off of that. And
real.
you got some people, they don't even want to stream. I'm like, bro, how easy could y'all have it?
I think it has a lot to do with an emphasized one-track mindset of thinking. And it goes back to the question about reading. It's not that we hate it. It's that we've been conditioned to have this one-track mindset of what success looks like. So different models of success are emphasized in different homes. For me, success was accomplishing my hopes and dreams. Success wasn't money-based.
Okay.
Now, despite the fact that, yes, neurosurgeons are some of the highest paid doctors, that has nothing to do with me wanting to become it.
Okay.
Being a neurosurgeon or being a surgeon in general has everything to do with widening that 2% of surgeons that are currently African American. Because, and I think as you grow up, you'll quickly find that no matter how much hard work you do, you will never truly fully be compensated for the sacrifices that you have made to get into that space.
That's the same way in my career. Like, I got into this. I'll be totally transparent. I got into this because I wanted to be on TV. But once I actually got into the work, oh, it's way bigger than being on TV. And that's not a bad thing because I love being in the community, but it taught me more so. I've always cared for helping people and being there for people, but it really gave me that more of a spark to want to be there for people. And not even that, I have a platform that I can bless people to put them on.
It's bigger than the money.
It's
bigger than the materials. And when you get to that space in life, then you know that you're doing it for the right reasons.
Right.
And I think that we have different mediums of success in our households. So a lot of people think that, oh, to be successful, I need to be a doctor or a lawyer or an engineer. Lies. You can be successful at whatever you want to do. And some people think that success is being a rapper, being the singer, being the dancer, being the athlete. So I think that it's what is emphasized in the household. If the reading isn't emphasized, if being all that you can be in whatever capacity, whether it's a ballerina, whether it's a sociologist, whether it's a news reporter, whether it's a doctor, whether it's a secretary, whether it's a realtor, I feel like it's about what's emphasized. So a lot of us, we're emphasized by media. We're influenced by the media. We see all of these areas.
Firsthand.
We see all these areas of where We see streamers getting this instant gratification. We see the instant fame. It doesn't take anything to get famous now.
It doesn't.
It doesn't take
That's
anything
true.
to make a trending TikTok trend or a trending
Correct.
hit, which
Correct.
explains why any and everything is being played on the radio. But again, I like old school music. I'm an old school girly.
I'm an old school guy.
I
So
go back like Cadillac. But yeah, I think it has a lot to do with what's emphasized and what we're being influenced by. And now with my generation, our generation, we're influenced by instant gratification. We want that instant dopamine hit. We want that instant success
right.
that we don't know how to wait anymore.
Patience is so, because even mine, I mean, my patience is short,
My patience is thin too.
but I have enough sense to understand everything can't be instant. Some things you gotta go through. God will allow to happen to teach you a lesson.
And he's doing it to see what you're going to do
How
in
you
that
gonna
moment in time.
respond?
Hello.
And sometimes we just respond without thinking, and God is probably like,
What you
yeah,
doing?
yeah, what you
That's so
that
ridiculous.
lets me know you ain't ready.
You ain't ready for the
what I'm
blessings
trying
I
to
have.
take it, right? So, and I mean, I know firsthand, I probably dealt with it like I'm praying and asking God for this, and then something will happen, and I may not respond the best that I should have, and then I
You
go back
failed
and
the
think,
test.
yeah, I go back and think later, like, you remember what you prayed for, right? You just showed you couldn't handle
You
it.
ignored it.
Right.
Yep.
And so you can't get mad with God. You just showed him, I prayed for God, but I ain't ready.
And it's kind of like that with what we grow up to be. You want to be the pro, but you have to show that you're ready to have that type of responsibility.
Right.
Like, I'll tell you a story. So, this goes back to me wanting to be a doctor. So, last summer, I was in Washington, D.C., I was working for the American College of Physicians. I was still in summer school. I was working as a public policy intern, and I shadowed internal medicine physicians. It's a lot, but I had fun.
Okay.
That was supposed to be the summer that I was applying to medical school, where I would be in medical school right now, fall 2025. I had been conditioned and I had basically convinced myself that I was ready. And I had a conversation with my advisor and I realized I wasn't ready. The plan that I had made for my life, I was not ready for. The stereotypical matriculation for med students. If you're traditional, you're matriculating directly after undergrad. I was not ready. I had not taken my MCAT. There were a whole bunch of personal things with me that I hadn't addressed within myself, or self-development rather, that I wasn't ready to say out loud because I thought that this is what I was supposed to be doing. I thought that I had to do it immediately. And I prayed about it, I slept on it, and I called my brother, in which I tell my brothers everything, especially Cedric Curry. That's my best friend. My best friend, like more than siblings. And I remember he said, it sounds like you're just not ready to go. And he said, you can say it. You have the permission to say that you're not ready to do what you've been destined to do, but you can get there. And for me, because I had saw all of my classmates, all of my friends applying, I was funneled thinking that that was what I had to do because I was comparing myself. And this goes back to your individual walk, whether it's with Christ, whether it's with your professionality, your career, it's your individual walk. It shouldn't be based on anybody else. And I never allowed myself the space to say, I'm not ready for this now, but I can make myself ready in the future.
But when you did give yourself that space,
when I did give myself that space, I felt a lot better. And it explains why I am where I am right now. I'm in graduate school. So I had to take a hard look. I cried about it. Yeah, I was beat up about it because obviously I had regrets. But I looked at my GPA. I looked at the fact that I hadn't taken my MCAT yet. I looked at how I was writing my application and my story into medical school, and I realized it was weak. And it's nothing more humbling than when you have to critique your own work.
talk about it.
When you have to be your own critic and realize, like, this is not the level. I'm here. I need to be here. I need to take these steps. And life is not going to be linear. Life is going to be squiggly. You're going to have to take the demotions to get that promotion.
I had to take a couple of them.
You're going to have to fail to know how it feels when you succeed and when you win. And sometimes you're just going to have to fall on your sword and learn how to stitch yourself back up in the process and keep on going. And that was one of those moments. So I gave myself the space to say that I'm not ready. I told my mom.
Gotcha.
My mom was a little wary because she had been conditioned to think that undergrad, straight to medical school. No, people take gap years. And Mom was so focused on the fact that, oh, if you take a gap year, you're not going to be ready to go back to school. You're going to fall out of love with school. So I decided to take a gap year master's. I started looking at master's programs that strengthen your application, that give you the experience that you never necessarily got in undergrad. It explains why I'm at Meharry Medical College right now getting my master's in health sciences,
Proud of you.
because I'm combating the things that I ran away from in undergrad, because I cannot keep running away from the stuff that I'm going to see in the real world.
Man, that's just life in general.
You have to have courage.
And start running away from the issue. And I'm even talking to myself. Instead of running away from it, run to it. Because the quicker you can acknowledge it and get the necessary help you need,
The quicker you get better.
there you go.
And I ran from organic chemistry. I was running from calculus. I was running from biochemistry, not because I was bad at it, but because I didn't understand it. And we fear what we don't understand. And maybe that explains a lot about why systemic racism exists, why institutional racism exists, because you fear what you don't understand. It
But
explains
they
it,
don't try to some of them don't try to understand it either.
and that explains ignorance.
Anything, man. You done dropped some gems on No Letting Up. Anything else that you just want to say to, I'm not going to say young women, but anybody, just about how you can keep going no matter what you go through?
I think it's that you have to learn how to be your number one fan. You have to learn how to be your cheerleader. You have to learn how to start viewing yourself outside of the capacity that has already been set for you. And once you learn how to see past the sky being the limit, once you see past learning how to reach for the stars, you'll be fine. For me, it started when mom started pouring into me. It got reignited again when my mom saw that student that applied to 80 colleges and got into all of them. And I applied into 125 and got in with all the
Ooh.
scholarships. It
Y'all,
started
y'all see why I brought her on? I told you, successful.
it started when people started encouraging me to do things because they saw not what I was, but who I could be. And I had to change my focus because it's the same way that God sees us. God doesn't see you for who you are. He sees you for who you can be in Christ.
If he did, Lord have mercy.
And that's why it's so good that we don't look like what we've been through,
Right.
because we're covered by him. So for me, I had to start looking past who I was and start looking into who I can be. Stop looking at the world for what it is and look into what you can make it into.
I'm gonna say this part of the interview. Yeah, I'm gonna make sure I say this part. This exact part in the whole
So,
podcast.
so yeah, I think if you want to move forward, acknowledge what you're afraid of, acknowledge what you don't understand. Stop being afraid. Look past your capacity. That's how you do it.
Man, I'm lost. I'm at a loss of words. What's next for you?
So I'll be finished. So I'm gonna be home. So I'm still in Twigs right now. So I'm taking my Masters of Health Sciences classes. So I'll graduate in May from Meharry Medical College. So that's my school
Excited?
right now. And then after that, hopefully going through this medical school process, taking the MCAT, and then hopefully matriculating either fall 2026 or 2027 or whenever the plan is, to ultimately get a double doctorate, so a PhD in social sciences and sociology, and either that medical doctor, MD, allopathic, or osteopathic DO degree, so that I can be Dr. Aylah Birks, Bachelor's of Science, Master's of Health Science, whatever else. Just learning how to be a better doctor so that I can treat people.
I'm gonna just say this. I have no doubt. And when I say no doubt, I have no doubt you'll get it done. Because I done seen everything else you done did. I already know your success story. You know, you're telling them, but I've already had insight even before we came on No Letting Up. So I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
Go get it. Don't forget about the little people. When you get on top, don't forget about little old me.
We're
Nah,
all here.
I'm just messing with you. I know.
You're here. I'm trying to get to where you are.
Be better than me. Be better than me. But no, I'm proud of you.
Thank
Keep doing what you're doing. I am just to see your success unfold and be able to catch up with you. I don't know a whole lot of stories like yours. And I know there's successful people out there. No doubt, Tweets kind of has a lot
They
of
do.
successful
Twix kind of
people.
has a story to tell.
Right, and I don't want to overlook that. There are even some success stories that I have recently learned about out of Tweeds County. So you have yourself, you have Darquez
Mm-hmm.
Denard, you have me, you have there was a I'm forgetting some. I better stop because I'm gonna forget some
There's
people.
so many
Yeah, so
people.
many. I better stop. So
Among our small circle, there are
right.
so many people that are making impacts in so many different ways.
So if you don't think or you question if you can do it coming from a small town, you're looking at examples. And now I'm not saying that it was easy by no means, because we
Mm-hmm.
both can tell you that it was not easy. But if you keep God first, stay grounded, and be determined, I ain't even gonna say the sky's the limit. There is no limit.
Mm-hmm.
You can be great. So with that, Aylah, we appreciate you.
Thank you.
Appreciate you for coming on. And that's no letting up. Stay tuned for our next guest. But don't forget to like, share, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff. Y'all know. Do all that. We'll catch you next time.